God says, something changed in your soulmate's world only moments ago, and the truth behind it is far more emotional than anyone around them realizes. A woman connected to their life has passed away, and before you assume you know who she was, listen carefully, because her connection to your soulmate carries a secret that has been buried beneath years of memories, unfinished conversations, and words that were never spoken. Your soulmate may appear calm on the outside, but inside, something has been shaken deeply. The moment they heard the news, one particular memory returned with such force that everything else seemed to disappear. It was not simply sadness. It was the realization that time had closed a door they always believed would remain open. And strangely, in the middle of that realization, their thoughts turned toward you. Don't skip, because the reason your name entered their heart at that exact moment changes the meaning of this entire story. There was something this woman knew about your soulmate, something she had noticed long before your soulmate was willing to admit it themselves, and what she once said about love is suddenly echoing in their mind again. My beloved child, there is one detail that makes this revelation impossible for your soulmate to ignore. This woman was not simply someone whose name existed somewhere in their past. She had witnessed a side of them that very few people ever saw, the quiet side, the vulnerable side, the person behind all the walls. At one point, she asked your soulmate a question they never answered completely: if you already know who your heart belongs to, why are you still pretending you have more time? Your soulmate brushed those words aside then. They believed tomorrow would always be available. Another conversation could happen later. Another chance to speak honestly would come eventually. But now, after hearing that she is gone, those words have returned with an entirely different weight. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that this moment is not only making them remember the woman they lost, it is forcing them to confront the person they are terrified of losing next. And that person is you. Suddenly, every delayed message, every hidden feeling, every moment when pride replaced honesty feels different. For the first time, they are asking themselves a question they can no longer escape: what if I wait too long to tell the person I truly love? But the biggest revelation has not surfaced yet, because shortly before this woman's final chapter closed, something unexpected happened, something your soulmate did not know about until now. She had spoken about them to someone close to the family, and during that conversation, she mentioned one person your soulmate could never completely remove from their heart. She did not need to hear your entire story to understand it. She had watched the way your soulmate changed whenever that person was mentioned. She noticed the silence that followed certain questions, the emotion hidden behind casual answers, and the way your soulmate tried too hard to act unaffected. And now, one sentence she left behind is about to reach them, a sentence connected directly to the love they have been avoiding. Don't skip, because what she revealed about that unfinished love may completely change what your soulmate does next. The shocking truth is that this woman may have understood your place in their heart before your soulmate understood it themselves. And when they discover exactly what she said before she was gone, staying silent about you may no longer feel possible. My beloved child, what happened next is the part no one around your soulmate was prepared to hear, because the woman who passed away had left behind something far more powerful than an ordinary memory. There was a conversation, one your soulmate never knew had taken place, and in that conversation, she spoke about the one person she believed your soulmate would regret losing forever. Don't skip, because the name connected to those words is closer to you than you think. She had noticed something everyone else overlooked. Whenever your soulmate tried to move forward, whenever they acted as though the past no longer mattered, there was still one person whose memory changed their entire expression. One person they could never discuss without becoming quieter. One person whose absence somehow remained present. She understood that silence. And according to what has now been revealed, she once told someone close to her, there is a person they love differently. They may deny it, they may delay it, but one day they will have to face what their heart already knows. Your soulmate never heard those words when she was alive. But now those words are making their way back to them at the exact moment when they can no longer ask her what she meant. And here is where everything becomes even more unexpected. Your soulmate already suspects she was talking about you. Stay till the end, because the next detail changes the entire meaning of what has been happening between you and your soulmate. There is a reason their energy may have seemed distant, uncertain, or strangely inconsistent. It was never as simple as forgetting you. Your soulmate has been fighting an internal battle between what feels safe and what feels real. They convinced themselves that silence could protect them from rejection, that waiting could somehow make their feelings easier to understand, and that if your connection was truly meant to survive, there would always be another opportunity. But this sudden loss has shattered that illusion. Now they are remembering every conversation they postponed, every truth they almost confessed. And every moment when they wanted to reach toward you but stopped themselves. Something huge is waiting for you, because one memory involving this woman has suddenly become impossible for them to ignore. Long ago, she noticed your soulmate looking at something, a photograph, a message, or perhaps simply something that reminded them deeply of you. And she saw an expression on their face that told her everything they refused to say aloud. She asked one simple question. Why are you running from something that clearly matters this much? Your soulmate never gave her the real answer. They changed the subject. They smiled. They pretended it was nothing. But she knew. And now that unanswered question has returned at the worst possible moment for their defenses, because your soulmate finally understands that some feelings do not disappear simply because you refuse to speak about them. And now comes the revelation that may change everything between you, because after hearing what this woman had said, your soulmate reportedly became silent. Not ordinary silence, but the kind that happens when a truth lands exactly where someone has been trying not to look. They began replaying your story from the beginning, but this time they saw it differently. They remembered the smallest things. The way you understood something without needing an explanation, the moment they felt unexpectedly safe around you, the conversation they still replay when nobody knows, and perhaps even the last words exchanged between you that they secretly wish had ended differently. Don't skip now, because there is still one final detail hidden inside what this woman left behind, and it could explain why your soulmate's next move may surprise even the people closest to them. Before she was gone, she apparently expressed one final belief about love: when someone truly matters, do not wait for the perfect moment to become honest, because perfect moments rarely announce themselves. Those words have now become impossible for your soulmate to dismiss. They are realizing that losing someone from their life has confronted them with a question they never wanted to answer. If another chapter suddenly closed tomorrow, what truth would they regret never telling you? And the answer frightened them, not because they feel nothing, but because they feel far more than they have admitted. There is still one secret, however, that has not been revealed: why this woman seemed so certain about you specifically, and what she knew about your soulmate's private feelings that even you may never have suspected. That truth is about to turn this entire story in a direction you will not see coming. God says, the secret this woman understood about your soulmate was not based on a guess. It came from one unforgettable moment your soulmate believed nobody had noticed. Don't skip, because this is where everything you thought you understood about their silence begins to change. There was a time when someone mentioned the possibility of you completely moving on, building a new life, and giving your heart to someone else. Your soulmate tried to remain composed, but this woman saw the instant change in them. Their smile disappeared. Their voice became quieter. For a few seconds, they could not hide what the thought of permanently losing you did to them. That was when she understood the truth: your soulmate had never emotionally placed you in the past. They had only hidden you there because admitting how deeply you mattered would require them to become vulnerable. Later, when she found your soulmate alone, she asked a question they never forgot: if that person disappeared from your life forever, would you truly be okay? Your soulmate could not answer. And sometimes silence reveals more than words ever could. Stay till the end, because what happened after that conversation explains why your soulmate has been carrying something about you that they have never had the courage to say directly. My beloved child, your soulmate eventually admitted something to this woman, but not in the way you might expect. They never gave her a dramatic confession. Instead, they whispered one sentence that exposed everything: I just don't know if I still have a chance. That was the truth beneath all their hesitation. They were not only afraid of loving you, they were afraid they had waited too long. Afraid that their mixed signals had pushed you away. Afraid that while they were trying to understand their feelings, you had learned how to live without them. And now, after this sudden loss, that fear has become impossible to ignore. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate is beginning to realize that the greatest risk was never telling you how they felt. The greatest risk was assuming there would always be more time. They are replaying moments they once dismissed as insignificant: a message they typed but never sent, a conversation they wanted to continue, an apology they rehearsed privately, and one confession they came dangerously close to making before fear stopped them. Don't skip, because there is one detail about that unsent confession that changes everything. Your soulmate was not planning to simply say, "I miss you." What they wanted to tell you went much deeper. They wanted to explain why they pulled away even when their feelings were becoming stronger, why they watched from a distance when they wanted to come closer, and why no other connection has been able to erase the emotional mark you left behind. And now the most surprising piece is beginning to surface. Before this woman passed away, she had apparently understood something your soulmate had not yet accepted. Their biggest unfinished chapter was not with someone from their distant past, it was with you. She believed there was still something important left unsaid between the two of you, something that could only be resolved through honesty. Her words are now forcing your soulmate to confront the possibility that silence has already lasted too long. Stay till the end, because the next revelation is the one that could completely change what happens next. Your soulmate is considering doing something they have repeatedly stopped themselves from doing, breaking the silence and finally telling you what was really happening behind their distance. But there is one final truth they are still struggling to reveal, and it concerns the exact moment they realized their feelings for you were no longer temporary. It happened during a moment when you probably thought they were barely thinking about you. In reality, that was the moment they understood they could meet countless people and still search for something that felt like you. And the woman who is now gone knew about that moment. She knew what your soulmate had confessed afterward. What she heard was so personal that your soulmate never expected it to reach anyone else, and when you discover the exact words they used to describe you, you will finally understand why this loss has suddenly pushed your connection back to the center of their heart. My beloved child, the words your soulmate once used to describe you were finally remembered, and they reveal something far deeper than a simple, "I miss you." In that private conversation with the woman who understood them so well, your soulmate admitted, "There is something about this person I cannot replace. I have tried to understand why, but every time I imagine never speaking to them again, something inside me feels unfinished." Don't skip, because that confession was only the beginning. The woman immediately asked the question your soulmate had spent so long avoiding, "Then why are you still silent?" And suddenly, there was no convincing answer. Your soulmate had blamed timing, circumstances, confusion, pride, and uncertainty, but beneath every excuse was one simple fear: what if they opened their heart and discovered you no longer wanted what they secretly still wanted? That fear kept them frozen. But the loss they have just experienced has changed the way they see time itself. They are realizing that some conversations cannot be postponed forever and some feelings do not become easier simply because they remain unspoken. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The woman who passed away had apparently told your soulmate something they never fully appreciated until now. If someone has touched your heart in a way nobody else has, do not confuse fear with a reason to walk away. Those words are now repeating in their mind, and every repetition leads them back to one person, you. God says, there is another layer to this story that makes everything even more emotional. Your soulmate is not only remembering what this woman said, they are remembering what they promised themselves afterward. At one point, they privately decided that if they ever received one unmistakable reason to stop hiding from their feelings, they would finally become honest with you. But days became weeks, hesitation returned, and that promise disappeared beneath everyday life. Now this sudden loss has brought it back with overwhelming clarity. Your soulmate is asking themselves, what exactly am I waiting for? And that question is changing something inside them. Don't skip now, because the next truth may explain a change you could soon notice. They may begin appearing differently. Not necessarily through some dramatic gesture, but through something small and unmistakably intentional. A message that feels more personal than usual. A question designed to discover whether your heart is still open. An attempt to revisit something unfinished between you. Perhaps even an admission that finally explains why they disappeared emotionally when their feelings were actually becoming stronger. They have realized that distance did not erase you. Silence did not replace you. Time did not make the unanswered questions disappear. If anything, every attempt to suppress this connection only showed them how deeply it had already become part of their emotional world. And there is one sentence they have imagined telling you repeatedly: I wish I had been honest sooner. That sentence carries everything: the regret, the longing, the fear, and the possibility that they still hope it is not too late. But here is the final revelation your soulmate can no longer run from. The woman who passed away was not important to this story because she somehow predicted the future. She mattered because she saw the truth your soulmate kept hiding in plain sight. She recognized that whenever your name, your memory, or the possibility of losing you appeared, something changed in them. And now her absence has become a powerful reminder that life does not always wait for people to become ready. Your soulmate is being confronted with the difference between having feelings and actually having the courage to express them. Something huge is waiting for you, not a guaranteed miracle, not an impossible promise, but a truth that may finally come into the open. If your soulmate reaches toward you, listen carefully to what they say, because behind their first words may be everything they were too afraid to reveal before. They may finally explain the distance. They may admit what they regretted. They may tell you when they first realized you were different. And most importantly, they may finally answer the question that has been hanging over this entire story: who was the woman whose passing awakened all of this? She was someone who had witnessed your soulmate's hidden heart closely enough to recognize what they could not admit themselves, someone whose final absence forced them to understand that the most painful words are often the ones we keep waiting for another day to say. And now, when your soulmate thinks about the person they would most regret leaving with an unfinished story, one name keeps